Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Always exciting.
Today, we are going to be talking about something that's pretty competitive.
Yeah.
The whole world of hospital referrals and how home healthcare agencies get those referrals.
Right. You would think that it's just a natural pipeline.
Yeah.
Patients are being discharged. They need care. Home healthcare agencies are there to provide it.
Right.
But it's way more complicated than that.
It sounds like it. And we've got some great sources for this deep dive.
Yeah, we do.
We talked to agency owners, marketers. We've got some intel on what hospitals are really looking for.
It's really a behind-the-scenes look at this whole competitive landscape.
I'm excited to dig in because it does sound like it's really hard to stand out from the crowd.
It is. It's incredibly competitive. And
Yeah.
the agencies are all vying for the attention of these hospitals.
Right. And hospitals have their preferences.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you become the top choice?
Right. That's the big question.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's our mission today.
Yes.
And I think what's fascinating is the sheer creativity that some of these agencies use just to get noticed.
Oh, I love that.
You got to be creative.
You got to be creative.
I'll give you a great example. J&K Healthcare Services in New York City.
Okay.
They were really struggling,
Right.
to get referrals from these hospitals.
Yeah.
So they decided to do something a little unconventional.
Oh, I like unconventional. I'm already intrigued. What did they do? Rent a billboard outside the hospital?
Oh, even better.
Oh, even better. Okay.
They said tennis shoes filled with candy
What?
to the nursing directors at 12 hospitals that weren't sending them referrals.
This is brilliant. Okay, I love it.
Each shoe came with a note that said, "Trying to get my foot in the door."
Oh my gosh, that's so clever. That's so good.
It was playful.
Yeah.
It was memorable.
And it probably made people smile.
It did. And you know what?
Yeah?
Every single hospital responded.
Shut up. No way.
Some with laughter, some requested a meeting. And they ended up landing 9 new referrals just from that campaign.
Okay, so for the cost of what? A few pairs of tennis shoes and some candy,
Right.
they got a 65% success rate.
It's incredible.
That's really good.
And you know what's even more amazing?
What?
Years later, the director, Casey Cirillo,
Okay?
she got a referral
Yeah.
because a gatekeeper at one of the hospitals still remembered the shoe gimmick.
Really?
I mean, talk about the power of thinking outside the box.
I love that so much, and it makes you wonder if that kind of thing can really create lasting trust. Can you build lasting trust on a gimmick?
That's a great question.
Mm.
I mean, it's definitely a memorable first impression.
Yeah.
But can you build long-term trust?
Right. You can't rely on a flashy entrance forever. You need a solid long-term strategy.
You need substance behind it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think someone like Lisa Furden comes in.
Okay.
She ran Family Home Healthcare Services in Michigan,
Okay.
and they took a totally different approach.
Mm.
They were all about building genuine relationships with these hospitals.
Okay, so not just grabbing attention, but really like digging in and becoming partners.
Exactly. It's a much more long game approach.
I like that. Tell me what that looks like in action.
So they didn't just show up with brochures and a sales pitch.
Right.
Think of it more like becoming a part of the hospital's fabric.
Okay, I like that.
Furden and her team volunteered in the hospital lobby. They were in the gift shop. They were getting to know the discharge planners and the nurses on a personal level.
I love that, just being present and building those connections.
Absolutely.
Do they do anything else?
Oh, they did all sorts of things.
Okay.
They were famous for what they called midnight marketing.
Midnight marketing. What is that?
They would show up during the nurses' less busy overnight shifts
Oh, wow.
with coffee donuts, information about their services.
So thoughtful.
They knew that the nurses were working hard.
Yeah.
They wanted to show their appreciation and be there when others weren't.
Smart. I like that a lot.
And it wasn't just about the treats.
Okay.
They offered in-service training sessions
Oh, wow.
to educate the hospital staff on their unique services.
Really? So they're showcasing what they can do.
Exactly. And how they can collaborate with the hospital and bring value.
So they're really becoming a resource.
Absolutely. They wanted to be seen as a trusted partner.
That's a great way to build trust and credibility.
And get this,
Yeah.
they would make donations to the hospital's memorial fund
Wow.
in the name of a former client.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Talk about a gesture that really resonates with the hospital's values.
It shows they care about the community.
Exactly, and it sets them apart.
Yeah. Did their strategy stop there?
Not at all.
Oh, there's more.
They sponsored educational sessions for new moms in the community,
Okay.
addressing specific needs, establishing themselves as experts.
And they understood that physician relationships are key too, right?
Oh, absolutely, because ultimately physicians are the ones making those decisions about patient care. including where they go after discharge.
Right. So getting on the good side of those doctors is pretty crucial.
It's essential. And Ferdinand's team focused on building those relationships with physicians who had admitting privileges at the hospital.
Okay.
They'd visit their offices,
Yeah.
provide regular care plan updates,
Yeah.
basically demonstrating their commitment to quality care.
Wow. So they're really covering all their bases.
They're working it.
It's impressive, but all these strategies we've talked about so far, they seem to rely on this kind of open access to hospitals. But what we're hearing is that the game is changing.
The landscape is shifting.
Yep.
Yes.
And it sounds like hospitals are making it harder for agencies to even get their foot in the door.
It's true. Hospitals are increasingly restricting access for marketers, and it's creating a whole new set of challenges for these agencies.
And the data shows it too.
It does. Some agencies are reporting a 75% decline in referrals compared to previous years.
Wow.
Growth rates that used to be around 50% are now down to like 3 to 5%.
So it's a completely different ballgame.
It's a real shakeup.
So I imagine this is causing a lot of anxiety for those agencies that have relied on those traditional marketing methods.
Oh, absolutely.
What are some examples of these restrictions?
Well, we're hearing stories of marketers being completely barred from visiting discharge planners.
Yeah.
Vendor fares are being limited.
Yeah.
Agencies are facing months-long waiting lists just to secure a brief meeting with hospital decision-makers.
So it's not as easy as it used to be.
It's a far cry from the days of open access.
I bet that's frustrating. So why are hospitals clamping down like this? What's driving this shift?
Well, there are a few factors at play. Some hospitals are just overwhelmed by the sheer number of marketers vying for their attention.
Yeah, it's got to be distracting.
It disrupts their workflow, and it makes it difficult for them to manage.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. Too many marketers can make it hard for hospitals to focus on what matters most: patient care.
Right. And then there's the whole issue of HIPAA compliance, right?
Huge concern.
Hospitals are becoming increasingly sensitive to patient privacy. So restricting access to marketers helps to minimize those potential breaches.
Right. Protecting patient data is paramount.
But are there other, maybe less transparent motivations at play as well?
Well, there is a theory, and I want to emphasize this is just a theory,
Okay.
that some hospitals are intentionally limiting access to favor their own affiliated home health agencies.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a way for them to control a larger portion of the market share and keep those referrals in-house.
It's like a game of chess.
It is.
With hospitals making strategic moves to maintain their position.
Absolutely.
So this leaves agencies in a tough spot.
It does.
If those traditional marketing avenues are becoming dead ends, what are they supposed to do?
Well, that's where things get really interesting, because even in this evolving landscape, there are still ways for agencies to stand out and forge those crucial relationships with hospitals.
Okay, so there's still hope.
Oh, absolutely. It just requires adaptability,
Okay.
a willingness to embrace new strategies, and a deep understanding of the hospital's needs and priorities.
So while the old playbook may be gathering dust,
It might be time to retire it.
it sounds like this shift is opening up opportunities for fresh, innovative approaches.
It absolutely is, and I'm excited to dive deeper into those new strategies in the next part of our deep dive.
Me too. But before we move on, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder.
All right, let's get those mental gears turning.
Imagine you're a hospital administrator facing a mountain of challenges, from staffing shortages to increasing patient needs. What would it take for a home healthcare agency to truly capture your attention?
What kind of partner would you be seeking?
What would make you say, this agency understands our needs and they can help us succeed?
Keep those questions in mind.
Yes, because we're going to explore some unconventional and innovative approaches that agencies are using to navigate this ever-changing world of hospital referrals in part 2 of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
See you then.
We were talking about hospitals kind of tightening their grip on access,
Yeah, like closing the gates a little bit.
making it harder for these home healthcare agencies.
It's like they're pushing everybody back to the drawing board,
Back to basics.
Back to basics, yeah.
Building real relationships.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, hospitals, they're not just referral machines.
No, they're not.
They've got their own issues that they're dealing with.
They've got a lot on their plate.
They do. So if you as an agency can figure out how to help them with their needs.
Right. Become a true partner.
A partner. Yeah, not just somebody who's...
Not just a vendor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about understanding their challenges.
It's like, help me help you.
Exactly.
So what are some ways that agencies are doing that?
Well, it might mean thinking a little bit beyond that typical sales pitch.
Okay.
Getting creative with how you bring value to the table.
Okay.
I was really struck by some of the research we did
Yeah.
where agencies were going above and beyond,
Really?
almost like doing these good
It's
deeds
just, okay.
to show their value.
Like what?
Well, for instance, some agencies offered specialized training sessions
For the hospital staff.
for the hospital staff, exactly,
Okay.
focusing on things like preventing falls
Oh, that's great.
or managing diabetes care.
Very helpful.
So it's not just about saying, hey, we're good at this.
Right.
It's like demonstrating it
Showing it.
in a tangible way,
Yeah, and helping the hospital.
improve their own outcomes.
So it benefits everyone.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to remember that hospitals, they're part of the community.
They are.
They're not in a vacuum.
Right.
So if you, as an agency, can also align with the community.
Show those shared values.
Yeah, you're speaking the same language.
Right. We're all in this together.
Yeah, and you're not just there for the business, you're there to support.
We care about this community.
Yes, exactly. And that builds goodwill, I would think.
Absolutely it does.
And you become a familiar name.
Right. A trusted name.
Another thing that we saw in our research was this emphasis on building relationships with the physicians themselves.
The doctors.
It's not just about working with the discharge planners anymore.
No, because ultimately the physicians have a huge say in what happens to patients
After they leave.
after they leave,
Mhm.
including who provides their home care.
So building those relationships with doctors
It's so valuable.
who have admitting privileges at the hospital,
Yes.
I mean, that's got to be gold.
It can be,
Yeah.
and it's about keeping them in the loop.
Okay.
Giving them updates on their patients.
Yeah, how are they doing?
How are they progressing under your care?
Prove that you can do it.
Demonstrate that commitment to quality.
And I think we can't forget about data.
But data is king.
Hospitals love data.
Absolutely.
So if you can provide data on your performance,
Right.
things like low readmission rates,
Yes. High patient satisfaction.
that's the kind of stuff they want to see.
It speaks volumes.
You're speaking their language.
You are.
So it sounds like a lot of this is about building trust, which takes time.
It does. There's no quick fix.
You can't just show up and be like,
It's not a one-time thing.
yeah, hey, trust me.
Right.
It's got to be earned. It's consistent effort. It's
Mm.
communication. It's showing that you genuinely want to be a partner.
You're there for the long haul.
Right. And it doesn't mean abandoning all those traditional marketing efforts.
No, you still got to have a good website.
Of course, keep it updated.
Use social media.
Be present.
Go to events.
An hour.
Yeah, but it's about finding that balance. Blending those traditional things
It's not for greeting.
with this idea of building real relationships.
And providing value.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
let's leave our listeners with another question to think about.
All right, fire away.
Imagine you're that hospital administrator that we've been talking about.
The one with all the challenges.
Yeah, all those challenges.
Yeah.
What would make a home healthcare agency stand out to you?
What would make you think this agency gets it?
Yeah.
They understand our needs and they can help us achieve our goals.
Really think about that as we head into part 3.
Because we're going to get even more out of the box.
We're going to explore some really creative ideas. I'm excited.
Me too, that agencies are using to navigate this crazy world of hospital referrals. Okay, we are back for the final part of our deep dive.
The grand finale.
We've talked about those creative approaches, those shifting landscapes. Now it's time to get really radical.
Buckle up.
Yeah, so those tennis shoes filled with candy, remember those?
Oh, yeah, those are good.
That was pretty creative. But some agencies are taking it even further.
Oh, yeah, they're pushing the boundaries.
Like, what are we talking about? Give me an example.
So some agencies are leveraging their knowledge
Okay.
to become thought leaders in the whole healthcare space.
Okay.
Almost like mini consultants
I love that.
to the hospitals themselves.
So are we talking about like an agency giving a TED Talk to a room full of doctors?
Not exactly,
Yeah.
but you're on the right track.
Okay.
There's one agency we found that created a series of workshops
Okay.
for hospital staff.
All right.
And the topics were things like preventing falls
Okay.
or managing medication effectively.
So really practical stuff.
Very practical. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
They weren't directly selling their services during these workshops,
So it was less about the pitch and more about just genuinely helping.
providing real value.
And that builds so much goodwill.
It does.
It really does.
It positions them as that trusted resource.
Right, not just another sales pitch.
Exactly.
It's like that old saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Right.
Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
But in this case, it's teach a hospital.
Teach a hospital.
Yeah. How to prevent falls.
And they'll remember who taught them.
Exactly.
Love that.
It's about being indispensable,
Yeah.
showing that your value goes beyond just the basic care.
Okay, I'm on board with this radical approach.
Yeah.
What other crazy ideas are out there?
Well, here's one that might surprise you.
Okay,
Some agencies are partnering with local businesses
interesting.
to create a smoother experience for patients after they're discharged.
Okay, now this is interesting. Tell me more.
All right, so think about it. You've just been discharged from the hospital.
Yeah.
Maybe you need help with meals,
Right.
getting rides.
Or like modifications to your home?
Exactly. Things like that.
Yeah.
And these agencies are teaming up with businesses that can provide those services.
Oh, wow. So it's like a one-stop shop almost.
It's a whole ecosystem of support.
And the patient benefits.
Absolutely.
Where businesses benefit.
They get new customers.
And the agency is seen as a true advocate.
Right. They're going above and beyond.
You're really looking out for the patient.
And hospitals notice that.
That's really smart.
It's strategic.
So we've talked about partnerships. We've talked about being thought leaders. What about specialization?
Oh, that's huge.
Are agencies getting more niche?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Instead of trying to be everything to everyone,
Right.
they're focusing on specific areas of care,
Okay, like what?
like cardiac care
Okay.
or rehabilitation after a stroke.
So you become the expert in that thing
Exactly. It allows them to develop deep expertise
and tailor their services.
to specific patient needs.
It makes them more valuable to hospitals.
Absolutely, because hospitals are looking for that specialized care.
So it's not about being the biggest, it's about being the best
The best at what you do.
at what you do and finding that need that the hospital has.
That's the sweet spot.
And of course, we can't talk about all of this without talking about technology.
Oh, technology is a game changer.
It's revolutionizing everything. So how is it impacting these referral relationships?
Well, we're seeing agencies really embrace telehealth platforms
Okay.
to provide that remote patient monitoring.
Right. Keeping an eye on those patients
Exactly.
after they've been discharged,
It can help reduce those hospital readmissions.
which hospitals love,
Oh, they love that.
and improve outcomes.
It's a win-win.
And it gives peace of mind to everybody,
It does.
knowing that somebody's checking in.
Absolutely.
Are there other ways that technology is being used?
Well, some agencies are using data analytics to identify patients who are at high risk for complications,
Okay.
and then they're proactively reaching out with support.
So being preventative.
Exactly.
We like that a lot.
Rather than reactive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I've been in a journey.
I think it's clear that getting those hospital referrals is tough,
It's competitive.
but it's also a really exciting time.
It is, because there's so much opportunity
For agencies that are willing to think outside the box.
to be adaptable and innovative.
So I think the key takeaway here is for agencies to really focus on how they can help hospitals succeed.
Because when hospitals thrive, everybody wins.
The patients benefit.
Exactly.
That's what matters.
That's the bottom line.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time for another insightful exploration.
I'm already looking forward to it.